Hello, everyone. I am Poonam Mawani from Azuki Accounts.
All right. And seeing as you just introduced yourself, I'll no need to introduce you. Right, for anybody who's watching, hello, we're trying live for the first time. So hopefully this is going to come out to the right people in the right place.
I just want to check that, Charlotte, see if there's anybody on LinkedIn or if it's coming up on your phone.
If not, we'll get better at it next time. All right, give us a little bit of background on yourself before we jump in. I know we've done a podcast before, but there'll be new people who haven't listened.
You are yeah. So a little bit about me. I am a qualified accountant. I qualified within audit and assurance in an accountancy firm, and then kind of fell into recruitment. I was watching Dragon's Den one day. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great working for one of these guys? And the short story is I started working at Hamilton Bradshaw, looking after a portfolio of his SME recruitment businesses. I was there for a couple of years. I looked after 14 SME recruitment businesses. I left him to go and be FD at Spencer Ogden and kind of worked my way up the ladder and have been FD and CFO of some large recruitment businesses. The last one being Milestone Operations. Sold that to Staffline PLC in 2015, and then set up Azuki straight afterwards. The thing I loved the most about my career was working with owner managers, people that were really passionate and driven about what they do, and I saw a bit of myself in some of those people. So Azuki does two main things. The first is outsourced finance functions for recruiters. So we would do everything finance related for them, everything from pay and bill, credit control, management accounts, as well as all of the statutory stuff too. And then the other side of the business is consultancy and M&A work. I'm a portfolio FD of some from larger recruitment businesses. We also do quite a lot of selling and buying of businesses to other parties. One of the big ones we completed in February this year, a 450 million turnover recruitment business based in the UK. So M&A is definitely a hot topic at the moment.
Did you make your millions from that sale?
Won't say millions, but I did all right.
All right. All right, cool. And we caught up a few weeks ago. How did you find our event?
Loved it. Everyone was lovely, very friendly. It was really nice to be out and about and seeing people again. I've missed it.
Yeah, it was full on, wasn't it? It was lively. It's like everybody had been locked up for 18 months and was making the most out of it.
Absolutely. Wait till Monday, right?
Wow, that was tough going. Okay, let's jump into the M&A stuff because I think that's always real interesting. So let's go into the basics of it. So what's the smallest business out there that could sell?
Well, there's no such thing as really too small. There will always be a buyer potentially for it. I think it really depends on what a buyer is looking for. And this is what I would always urge people to kind of really think about. You know, are you as niche as you can be? Is your business as, you know, does it have the right infrastructure for somebody to come in and still, you know, do things with it that would then make them money, as well as, you know, being able to make them money in the future. That's the whole point. But a really small business, I mean, you really want to be a minimum of 500,000 EBITDA, anything up of that.
And if you're at 500,000 EBITDA, profits before tax, what standardly would people need to generate in revenue to do that?
It varies. It depends on the makeup, and it will very much depend on the sector as well, because what follows through. So you would expect between 20 and 30% of GP to fall back down to EBITDA. So you really want to keep an eye on, you know, the bulk of your costs in between that. So, and for a recruitment business, that's ultimately staff costs and rent. They're pretty much going to be the bulk of your costs.
With COVID, everybody started looking at business models, and things are changing a little bit. What are the key trends you're seeing in the founders that you're speaking to?
Massive boom at the moment. We've had some clients of ours that have having the best quarters they've ever had. I think the businesses that particularly did well in COVID were the ones that pivoted quickly and were able to kind of make decisions quickly on that. So, like for example, we had a client of ours that did IT contractors into Europe, and then they actually pivoted to do medical devices. So IT contractors into medical devices, and they're killing it now. But they were able to make that call really early in COVID and have done well because of it.
All right. And do you see anything different structurally in the way that people are setting up their businesses?
Loads. So mainly with COVID, you don't have to have physical bods all sitting in your office now, and people are being much more flexible as to where those people are located, particularly the rise of the offshoring model. So whether that's people having delivery teams based overseas in slightly cheaper labour countries, that seems to be a trend at the moment.
Have you seen any examples of it working?
Yeah, so we've got a few people that have got teams either in Pakistan or Philippines or South Africa. They tend to be doing well, but you have to invest the time in training those people. They have to know your culture. They have to know how you want to do things. So making sure you think about that robust infrastructure before you just say, right, I'm going to have a team over there.
What are the most common mistakes you see founders make when they're looking to build their companies for a sale or for an MBO or whatever that is?
Not investing in the right systems, for sure. Systems will make their lives so much easier. Automating as much as possible. Not being transparent. There's no need to, in a recruitment business, there is no need to, to not be transparent. You can easily have good systems and good reporting that supports everything that you've done. So just building on really good foundations. And I don't think you need to be anything more than a one-man band to really start thinking about that infrastructure. So a startup right out the gate can think about good infrastructure.
And what type of reporting? So you're talking like Monday morning, you're getting your reports, you're reading them, and then you're making your decisions based on that. Like, give us an example of how that should work in an ideal world.
So from a financial perspective, you want everything to be cloud-based, live. We're Zero Partners is a great package. There are others out there as well. You want your data and your management accounts to, in effect, be produced within 10 to 12 working days of month end, so that you can then assess where you are and where you need to be and make those decisions quickly. You will have some sort of KPIs. I know people don't like that phrase nowadays, but you will monitor your business somehow. And whatever those tools may be, they are in effect KPIs. So make sure that you're monitoring them and doing that live. I think I spoke to somebody or had some conversations this morning with somebody who did their accounts once a year and was saying how, it only takes me 5 hours to do it once a year. And I didn't realize how much rubbish I spent my money on. I'm like, well, you should kind of do the monthly. If you did the monthly, you'd know that. And naturally, if you don't have the time to do the monthly, outsource, because there are people that will do it quicker and, save you time and make you more money.
Without going into too much detail, on my behalf, but if I was to come to you and say, hey, I want to sell my business, help me with my strategic plan, what's the first thing you do? Some form of an audit and an interview with me? How would that look?
Yeah, so the first thing you do would be a financial health check. And we kind of go in, spend a bit of time with you, your team, have a look at your systems and procedures, and mainly your controls as well, and understand exactly how the data flows through each area of your business. Once we've kind of identified that, We'll then write a report, deliver it to you, which has recommendations on things you should be thinking about, and ways to be as efficient as possible. We can then help you implement those things if you want us to, or you go away and do that. But it's a well-trodden path in recruitment. You have everything from a CRM to a mid-office to back end as well. So we want to make sure that everything is automated and as integrated as possible. Preferably, those systems need to talk to one another.
And I'd say to that, like, what are the buyers looking for from you? Because obviously you're in the detail. They're in asking you bigger picture questions. What are they asking you for?
So they, in terms of due diligences that we would do on companies, they want to make sure there's no skeletons in the closet and that everything is as it should be. So that is, they don't really want to take on a business that's a hot mess. They want something that they can, easily integrate into their business or businesses if there are multiple. They don't want to have a very long, painful integration, but they also want to see potential. So is that potential in the niche that they're in? Is it because of the client base? Is it the sector that they're trying to get into and do more of? Is it the PSLs that you have? So these are the things that you really want to package up and try and be as desirable as possible.
And when you look at, you mentioned skeletons there. So I'm sure I'm sure the way you interview is not too dissimilar to the way a recruiter would interview. We're looking to screen people out pretty quick in terms of there's a couple of big questions that we ask. We figure out, all right, can I work with you? No. Okay, maybe I'll give you a bit of advice and move on. What are the skeletons that you're trying to uncover straight off the bat?
What's the history of the business, and ultimately you can kind of understand what's happened to and where the business is right now if you can understand that history. What's happened with the shareholding structure? No one likes a complicated shareholding structure. If it doesn't make sense to somebody, they're probably not going to spend as much time as you want them to on your business, thinking really about whether I should buy them. They're going to be like, it's too much hassle. I'm just going to move on to something more straightforward. At the moment, there's a massive boom in investors and foreign companies wanting professional services recruitment businesses.
Really?
So yeah, so I could easily sell a professional services recruitment business right now for much better multiples than maybe a few years ago. They're very desirable, but they have to tick all of the boxes, and the boxes are a good, healthy EBITDA, conversion down from GP. They want to know that you're relatively lean, or that there's potentials there. Have a look at a good client base, good PSLs, good mix of contractor and perm, and just making sure that there's potential in there for them to be able to do something with it as well.
And some of the dangers of people have too small a company is that it's too much about them. So what can we do as we're growing to make sure that we're more attractive to somebody for that exit when it comes?
Absolutely. Succession planning is huge here. Obviously, if the business is all about the one owner founder, it's too risky. It's too risky for anyone buying it. You want to make sure that you're very much working on the business rather than in the business as an owner founder. Investors like EMI schemes because you're incentivizing key people there to kind of stay with the business. You have common goals. They're incredibly flexible, and you can either have them on growth, you can link them to particular targets. There are lots of different things that you can do with EMI schemes, but making sure that you're not making the day-to-day decisions and running of that business is key.
Okay, so what for those professional services companies, what's the smallest headcount that somebody would consider?
It's not necessarily about headcount, because you could have loads of contractors out and manage them quite leanly and efficiently. I would say you really, those professional services, probably 2 million EBITDA. 2
million EBITDA. It doesn't matter about the actual headcount of the staff internally.
And the beauty of COVID was that actually it highlighted how slim down businesses could run. Loads of people got furloughed last year, and businesses still made, more profit than ever because they realised they didn't need all of those headcount in order to service the existing contractor book. So, everyone likes the idea, I've got 15 staff or I've got 45 staff. And it's like a badge that everyone wears. Nobody cares. It's all about profit. So if you can increase that profit with a lower headcount, then amazing.
So, because this is a question I get asked a lot, and that is kind of where I was going with it, but you hear so much mixed bullshit out there. If I've got a resourcing function and I'm putting it all in London and they're all permanent staff and it costs me X and my profit is much lower than if I had that function as an outsourced function that I don't own in Pakistan, but it delivers and there's a contract of work there. Does that affect even though that's more profitable, does that mean my value of my business would be greater with that? Or is there more security when I've got all these headcount in London? I'm not seeing
a business being devalued from having an offshore team.
That's interesting, isn't it? That's a big misconception out there.
Yeah, and I think there are things that you need to do to protect the business, for sure. Like, we're not just saying, don't worry about it.
Sure,
They're not important what you're doing. They 100% are fundamental to your success of your business. But as you mentioned, you have to put things in place to protect yourself and protect the business, and have long contracts, have a good SLA with them, making sure that you have a work manual so that it's a standardized approach as to what they're doing. All of those things will be important.
Right. So I would say it would be great if you could bottle all this and put it into a bit of a course, but hey, I think it's probably time for you to tell us about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are in the process of producing a training course. It'll be a 12-week course called Elevate, and it will be all about helping recruitment business leaders in achieving their end goal. Now, that end goal might be different depending on the individual. That could be creating a really good, profitable lifestyle business. It could be an MBO, a trade sale, private equity. It could even be newfangled things like EOTs at the moment, but you'll learn all about that on my course. So I'm hoping to launch that in the next few weeks. And we will, it's all online and remote, but we will be going live with it in September. It'll be a 12-week program, and we'll work with you in order to achieve all of those things.
What is an EOT?
An employee ownership trust. So it's a very tax efficient way of selling your business to, in effect, your employees. So this is the new thing at the moment, and it's very tax efficient there's no capital gains tax or anything like that for the owner managers. And you have to sell at least 51% to your employees. So, slight difference with an MBO is an MBO tends to be typically with one or two, maybe three other parties, and you're kind of putting all of your eggs into those baskets, while an EOT is for the majority of the employees. You can still stay on as an employee if you wish, but you won't be a shareholder and owner anymore with majority rights. So there are different things to consider about whether that's right or not for you, but it's definitely a very favourable route at the moment for businesses that are looking to grow.
And if you were to look at your portfolio right now, and you're to look at the top 20% of it in terms of the leader founders that you're working with, what are the common trends that you're seeing in their business, in the structure that they have at the moment?
Definitely a split between sales and delivery, and that's been a trend over the past few years. Long gone are the days of 360 recruiters now. And I'm not saying that they don't have their place in businesses, they do, but finding someone that has the skills to be good at delivery as well as good at sales and BD is a difficult find. They're a bit of a unicorn, and actually splitting those functions seems to be doing really, really well, particularly when they report independently into the board rather than delivery reporting into sales. We're noticing that that's actually doing much better.
It's an interesting one. It could be split again, I think, in terms of the offshoring element, but then you're going to lose certain influence when it comes to dealing with high-end professional services. So there's a bit of a balancing act on that there piece.
Yeah.
What other trends are you seeing?
Recruitment consultants are offering, not moving very much. Back in the day, they would move around loads. Now people seem to have, be staying put. They've been offered a lot more flexible working. Quite a lot of businesses are chucking money at their staff as well. So we've seen a bit of an increase in salaries. So something to be mindful of is payout ratios and making sure that what you're paying your staff versus what they're generating you is in line with what you'd want them to achieve for the business.
Break that down for the layman here.
So you want it to be about 40%. So what you're paying all of your recruitment consultants, your employees. So that's everything from base, commissions, employers, national insurance, pensions, all of that added up over the gross profit that they generate you, or NFI, whatever you want to call it, should be about 40%. If it's consistently higher, it may indicate some training issues, that they're new, performance issues, perhaps. If they're consistently lower, it may indicate that they could do with a new hire, trigger a new hire into that team. So it's just something to be mindful of. If you're looking at ratios and what the conversion is to bottom line, your biggest cost in your business is something that walks out the door at 6 p.m. every day. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring them. And one of the things we particularly find is owner managers are sometimes slow in getting rid of people when they perhaps should got rid of them sooner. And that's, I think, oh no, they're saying all the right things to me. I've seen their pipeline is good, and but that pipeline's been the same pipeline for 3-4 months and they still haven't done anything. And all of these things is, nobody wants to be the one to get rid of them, and you want to be able to invest time and to see them grow, but be realistic as well. If there are recruiters in there that need to unfortunately move on, then make that call quickly.
All right, cool. So in real terms, somebody's paid 40, they cost 60, they bill 100, that triggers a new hire. Is that right?
Yeah, potentially.
Okay.
Yeah. Depending on your sector, margins play a massive part into it as well. Everyone wants a business with good margins. You want to make sure that the umbrella companies that you use are, vetted and are above board. There are lots of negative rumors and things like that are going around about, suppliers. So make sure that they're all kind of vetted and are above board. All of these things will add to the value of your business.
You mentioned before the strength of contracts. Can you kind of go into detail on that in terms of like how much historical data do they go into in terms of like your PSAs and all the rest?
They do, and they will go back a good, and each investor will go back their own number of years that they wish to. I've seen some where it's 2 years. I've seen some that are longer. It very much depends on the buyer. But if you run your business in a good way, doing the right things, making sure that you build the right infrastructure blocks to grow, that shouldn't be a worry. You shouldn't be concerned about what happened 10 years ago or anything like that, because actually you made the right decisions. I think a lot of people think that they can do it on their own, and the power of peer networking and non-exec directors are huge in this industry. Don't try and, you don't have to know everything at all. And actually, it's better that you don't know everything, and use the right people and the right advisors around you to learn and grow, and, to utilize their brains for the things that you don't. I'm a firm believer of hiring people that have strengths that you don't have, because actually then it's a complementary kind of union together. So there are non-exec directors and other advisors in the industry that have done what you are hoping to achieve, go and talk to them. Go and have some sort of formal arrangement with them if you want to, where they can come and advise you. And peer networking is massive. You will learn so much from what your peers have done. You know, they may all talk about the latest fad in technology, or, you know, actually we're seeing these signs in, you know, in the industry doing this, and have you come across this? You know, don't underestimate that. Everyone thinks that, oh, I've built a successful business without needing anyone, I'm okay on my own. But imagine if you had that support and that network, how much better you would be.
Yeah, that's why we built it, you know. So when we started, we just didn't know, like, we were just kind of learning as we went, bit by bit, and there was no, like, that was 6 years ago, there was just no access to it. I know, and then I know some of the other societies kind of built up, but they were a bit clubby, and then it was like, oh, okay, well, we went out and did our own, and now the information's kind of ubiquitous, but people still don't implement it without having somebody to kind of steer them. So
absolutely, nobody wants to be the guinea pig, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm Mr. Guinea Pig.
You are the guinea pig, yeah,
big time. All right, great stuff. So Poonam is one of our vetted suppliers and partners, as we like to call them, in RecWired. So hit us up, hit her up direct. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, if you want to check her out on the course that she's building, you'll have more information out on that, and we'll be getting that out.
Absolutely. Next couple of weeks. Get in touch. Anyone wants to speak to me.
Yeah. All right. Great stuff. Thank you, everybody. If you want to join RecWired, it's free for now. So hit us up if you're a recruitment owner, founder, any size, any business, and hope you all have a great summer.